In a turn of events, Gerard Romero has posted out a news that Barcelona and Rodri will be heading to Barcelona this summer in an absolute bombshell of a hijack. Just as everyone thought that Rodri to Real Madrid was only a matter of time, it seems that Barcelona have crashed the party and gotten through with all the negotiations, and it's just a matter of club to club agreements where everyone believes that the fee will be anywhere from 50 to 60 million euros. And I am absolutely astounded, guys. I am baffled. I am at a loss for words because Deco's operating this way. This is how things, mind you, it's all but confirmed. Fabrizio Romano posted that the personal agreements are already set in place. And it's from one day to the next. From one day literally to the next. No lead-ons, nothing. And it looks like the here we go might come in the coming days. And possibly tomorrow. It's insane. It's insane. Where can we even start? Rodri is a spectacular addition to this squad. Especially, I said it as soon as Frenkie De Jong went down with a long-term injury, 5 to 6 months. Sign another midfielder. Sign another midfielder. And never in a million years did I think that midfielder was going to be Rodri. World Cup MVP Rodri. Ballon d'Or winner Rodri. Treble winner Rodri. The successor to Busquets we have been waiting for, Rodri. Rodrigo Hernandez. And mind you guys, the reason I insisted that we needed another midfielder once Frenkie De Jong went down is because we are literally before Rodri, we were one Pedri injury of being screwed again, of having to see Dani Olmo putting in shifts at the 8. And I'm not trying to see any of that. Because Pedri, last season, and pretty much ever since he's been here, he's had to play every single minute of every single game, especially under Hansi Flick. Because whenever he comes off, the team crumbles because he's the only midfielder that can organize our gameplay. We did not have a dictator in the midfield besides Pedri. Everyone else is very complimentary. Gavi, Bernal, Frenkie. But Pedri, whenever Pedri was missing, it was long. But with Rodri, you get another organizing midfielder and you get guarantees. Because this guy is spectacular. You guys saw him at the World Cup. He was Spain's best player. He is a positional pivot that will enable the best version of Pedri. And mind you, look, I'm not trying to hear any of the compatibility with Spain. Spain play a nasty haram ball, all right? By haram ball, I mean a very passive and conservative-based possession where they truly play a double pivot, right? They truly play a double pivot, whereas at Barcelona, our midfield is constructed in 3 different levels with the 10, the box-to-box 8, and the deepest lying pivot. And this time, you've got a Rodri who can complement a Pedri at the different heights very well. Because Frenkie best look next to Frenkie. Why? Because he could trust Frenkie with the ball. Besides Frenkie, he can't trust anyone. And with Pedri being, when Frenkie was out, Pedri has to do a lot of the deep line playmaking and run a lot and have to really expend himself physically because he had to cover for everything that Frenkie De Jong would do. And he would be able to be further up the pitch because Frenkie De Jong could get him the ball. Marc Bernal couldn't get him the ball. Casado couldn't get him the ball. Eddie Garcia couldn't get him the ball. But now, Rodri can get him the ball. Rodri can pull the strings. He can be the first one to receive, sitting in front of the defenders. Rodri understands our style of play to the bone. Barcelona DNA, after all those years spent under the Pep Guardiola's coaching. Rodri is an incredible positional midfielder, a true pivot who's able to anticipate. He can play the lone pivot. He opens up a world of ability for us. He can play that guy that sits alone in front of the defense. His high press, his work rate, his intensity, being on the front foot, intercepting passes. He does that just like Busquets did in his time. Obviously, less elegant on the ball, but he's incredibly efficient on the ball. This is like finding gold, guys, because again, like I said, we play a completely different style because we play a high line. We play uh borderline insanity attacking football, and Rodri's made for that because he helps in ball recoveries in the opposition half. With Spain, he doesn't mind sitting in that low to mid block at times, and yes, Spain press, right? But we are a different dimension, guys. We press like animals, insane, end to end. And you've equipped Hansi Flick with a guy that protects the high line so much more than even Frenkie De Jong himself, because Rodri's defensive capabilities are much better than Frenkie. His he's just as press resistant, and he has way better pressing going forward, and being able to pull the strings and not lose the ball. Because especially without Frenkie De Jong, you had Marc Bernal, who's very young. But I'm sorry, going into the Champions League tie with all the marbles, going in there with Pedri and Marc Bernal, honestly, it just isn't feasible. And with Gavi as well, Gavi's injury prone. Gavi's injury prone, Marc Bernal's injury prone. They're both coming off of long-term injuries, having to settle into their bodies, their newfound rhythm, and their minutes are gonna have to be reduced. And so are Rodri's. Let's not get it twisted. Rodri, that's another concern that people had. Rodri's gonna stump Marc Bernal and Gavi. No, Rodri's body cannot take a 60-plus game season anymore. And yes, he did have a below average season at Manchester City, but he found his best form at the World Cup because he settled into his new body post ACL injury. And what's true is that Rodri can't handle the entire load of minutes. You saw both Fermin and Dani Olmo were incredibly important last season for us, and they play in the same position. So there's room for everyone to coexist because we're going to need every single midfielder. 100%. Pedri will not have to play every single minute this time. He'll be able to actually rest, and the team's performance will not have the emphatic drop off that it normally has because we'll have Rodri. At the World Cup, Pedri arrived fried. Let's be real. Towards the end of last season and at the World Cup, Pedri was fried, physically exhausted, tired, because he had played 60-plus games. He was a player that ran the most distance per game, making up for so many frailties in our system. And now he gets some much-needed rest from proper backup. Because that's what Rodri's arrival means. Be able to create different pairings, whether it's Frenkie Pedri when he comes back, whether it's Pedri Rodri, whether it's Rodri Gavi, whether it's Rodri Bernal, whether it's Pedri Bernal, whether it's Pedri Eric. All these combinations, every combination that exists between Pedri and Rodri with another midfielder works to perfection. It's perfectly balanced. You have an organizer and you have a box-to-box with guarantees, foolproof. And for Marc Bernal's purposes, what? For those saying that he's going to block Marc Bernal's development, are we insane? Marc Bernal is 19 years old, coming off of an ACL injury where he just began to get rhythm at the end of last season. And even then, he picked up an injury after Frenkie De Jong went down because Marc Bernal was having to play it all, and he eventually ended up picking up a muscle injury. So, yes, Marc Bernal is going to be able to have a mentor and learn from the best to ever do it in his exact same position. And let's be real here. We get 4 years out of Rodri at 34 when he's practically done. Marc Bernal is going to be, 22, 23, heading to 23? 23 years old? He's perfectly young and still has his entire career 10, 15 years ahead of him to be the pivot for Barcelona. This is spectacular. With Lewandowski leaving, Inigo had left previously. You had two leadership figures that had left the club. And you need those mature guys that have won, that know what it's like to win week in and week out and follow through and win trophies, both knockout style and leagues, back to back. Understand of having greatness being the standard week to week to week to week. A treble winner that knows what it takes to win. The squad is incredibly young. And yes, there's a lot of winners from knockout tournaments, but to set the standard here, he is he's going to have a proper locker room presence Whereas in Madrid, I don't know if you would have had that, because you say that to Mbappe, and Mbappe just waves you off. But we've seen he served as a mentor to Lamine Yamal, telling him at the end of the Euros to continue working, to work hard. He could serve as that mentor figure, and whenever he speaks, people will listen. And that's something that's important. When Iñigo Martinez left and Lewandowski leaving now, that leaves the leadership gap. But whenever Rodri speaks, all these guys that view him as the Spanish national team captain, they're gonna listen. And what better example than a guy that's won it all? Ballon d'Or, Champions League, treble, back-to-back league wins, winning week in and week out under a Pep Guardiola winning side. One of the biggest markers of excellence in world football. This is nothing short of a spectacular signing for us, and guarantees and gives us the proper depth that we need. Also, for Marc Bernal, Rodri's coming off of a back injury, and obviously he's coming from a long World Cup campaign. So at the start of the season, Marc Bernal is going to play a hell of a lot of minutes. So he's going to get his share of the pie. But, man, this is a spectacular signing, y'all. This is a spectacular signing because the possibilities are endless. The creativity, the ability to stop getting caught off the counter, the defensive coverage, the ability to pull strings. Pedri and Rodri in the Hansi Flick system. Oof. Defensively, sitting in a mid block, much more attentive, much more aggressive than Frenkie De Jong. Rodri, maximum efficiency, very quick to pass the ball, very quick to find the through ball, being able to play at the 10. We saw the season that he had whenever he won the Ballon d'Or, where he scored so many goals, having so many assists, in a much more daring and attacking and front-footed minded football. This is that under Hansi Flick is gonna be sensational. It is a match made in heaven. This is everything that we've been looking for ever since Sergio Busquets left. Could y'all imagine a 4-3-3 with Pedri, Rodri, and Gavi? Oh my days, my goodness. What are we doing here? This is sensational. He unlocks Pedri to be able to even gravitate farther forward, operate in that box-to-box, being able to find passes that Frenkie De Jong didn't have within his range. This a guy that isn't afraid to shoot, a guy that isn't afraid to play that through ball, a guy that, completely, he enables the high line to another degree, because one of the things is that goal that they keep scoring on us is because of reckless play from our midfielder, and Pedri having to play heroics, doing massive coverages, massive distances covered. Well, you add another element like Rodri that could cover a lot, that doesn't lose the ball as easily, that what covers the ball so high up the pitch, is one of the kings in anticipation of recovering the ball in the final third. Bruh, this is revolutionary for our style of play. He is the perfect fit for us, and Hansi Flick deploys exactly what it is that caters to what Rodri's game is. Literally. Hansi Flick made the call. As soon as Frenkie De Jong went down, he saw it as an opportunity. He's like, I'm on that. He called Rodri insistently, convinced him in a heartbeat, because, of course, he's here with all of his Spanish national team teammates. What more does he want? Beautiful beaches of Barcelona, baby. PR. Like crazy. You are here. And with the spectacular moment that we're in, being back at the upper echelon of European football, one of the best teams in the world, candidate to win it all, Hansi Flick, bruh, I am ecstatic, y'all. Y'all don't understand. This is, we just signed the MVP of the World Cup. A pivot we haven't been able to find. For the love of God, I watched the whole season of Real Romero. This means something to me, man. I watched the whole season of Real Romero. So whenever I see Rodri potentially playing for my team, this means something to me. This is everything, man. And talk about food chain. I'm not going to go there just yet. But let's talk about what it means also, because he was practically twerking. He was shaking ass for Madrid. Yes, this is true. He was so close on that move. But what's clear is that Florentino Perez was never keen on the move. He wanted to lowball Manchester City. He never finished finalizing things. As Rodri pushed, Rodri was born in Madrid. He is a Madrid guy. He wants to move back to Spain, and particularly Madrid. And he's the one that offered himself to Madrid. And Mourinho was set on it too. He really wanted the signing. But if y'all remember in the elections, Enrique Riquelme, his marquee signing was Rodri. And these politicians have an ego. And Florentino Perez did not want to poach and feed off of Enrique Riquelme's project of his marquee signing, his star signing. No, he wants to do things his way. Yan Diomande, Vinicius renewal. And he announces both on the same day because he's trying to combat the PR loss from the Rodrigo links. And if you check both of the announcements of Vinicius' renewal and Diomande's announcements, it's just all the Madrid fans upset. Why? Because Real Madrid needed Rodri so much more than we did. Real Madrid need an organizing midfielder like Rodri. It was a perfect match. Exactly what it was. He was going to be the it guy there. But Florentino Perez, we know his politics. He doesn't like signing these older players, especially for a substantial amount of money. And we know that he loves the stars. He just dropped 140 on Yan Diomande. Just renewed Vinicius Jr. He loves himself a Galactico locker room. That incredibly foolish. If this all follows through, it will have been in a dire mistake because he was the missing element that Real Madrid needed for that midfielder. And don't get me wrong, it would have still been a risk because yes, Rodri would have probably played well for Real Madrid if he ended up going there, but I don't know how that team is dysfunctional. The locker room is dysfunctional. Jose Mourinho, who has a strong character, who knows how he's going to be able to deal with that entire locker room. He won't have the locker room presence that he have at Barcelona. He wouldn't have. And Real Madrid do not play a brand of football that suits Rodri's needs. They're very counterattacking, explosive, but they don't know how to. They haven't known how to hold the ball for years now with their last two coaches. And who knows? I'm still very skeptical. Jose Mourinho in big 2026. He hasn't been in the stratosphere of the elite football clubs for over 10 years. So who knows how that team is going to pan out. But even then, he would have still been very good as far as organizing Real Madrid, giving them some sort of order in that midfield. But man, this for Barcelona, man, this is awesome. This is sensational. This is everything because we were in a dangerous position, being one Pedri injury away, especially at this beginning of the season, of being cooked, fried. But this is great because you give time for the likes of Gavi and Marc Bernal to settle into themselves, get valuable minutes, make and truly challenge for the starting position if they can make their way forward. Learn from Rodri as well. But on a Champions League night, those big games where it's tough and you need to see what you're made out of. We've seen already what Rodri's made out of. That's a dog right there. Shows up in big moments. And because honestly, y'all, heading in, we don't. Frankie's pretty much done for the season because yes, 5 to 6 months. He's taking a conservative approach for his injury. We'll see how that plays out. And if not, he has to opt in for surgery. Makes the injury last a little longer. Then he has to catch his rhythm, and then he has to be in full swing. That's a long injury, y'all. And also, Frenkie De Jong's upset flick because he didn't want to risk himself late into the season. Then he goes and plays and pretty much shatters his knee, throwing a stick in all of Hansi Flick's plans for this summer. So, you bring in Rodri, who on Champions League nights, I want to see Rodri and Pedri in that midfield. Because I'm sorry, but Marc Bernal is great, and I'm sure he's going to be a spectacular player for us in the next decade. So is Pedri, so is Gavi. Both of them are. And they're going to be very important this season. Do not get it twisted. They're going to be very important. Injuries happen. Players have to rest. Just look at Fermin and Dani Olmo. They were both equally important this season. Just look at Rashford and Rafinha. Both of them were equally important this season. Look at Lewandowski and Ferran. They can coexist. And they'll all be important. Look at Eddie Garcia and Koundé. And Gerard Martin and Pau Cubarsí and Cancelo and Balde. We need depth, guys. We need depth. We need our starting 11 can't fold. And right now, I always said it. There was 3 guys that we had no response to if they went down. Number 1, Lamine Yamal. If he goes down, everything goes to shit. But now we've got Karim Adeyemi. Now, who else? Rafinha. When Rafinha went down, I'm sorry, Rashford had the numbers, but he didn't have the work rate and the enabling for us to continue to play a high press that was intense, that allowed for the team to continue function as it does because the intensity drop-off was horrendous with Rashford. You bring in Anthony Gordon, who is the baby British Rafinha. You mitigate that one now. The other one was Pedri. Every time Pedri would go down, consider it fries, cooked, absolutely ruined. And now you bring in Rodri, who can pair with him. And if for whatever reason, Pedri goes down, you've got Rodri, who could do the functions that Pedri does in this squad. And you'll be perfectly fine. That's what you gain. That's exactly what you gain. The freedom of Pedri reducing his minutes, reducing his workload. And for Rodri as well, you've got a guy that doesn't have to play it all either. That can be optimized to arrive in their highest form in the latter parts of the season, in March, in April, in the knockout rounds, in when you're having to win week in and week out in the league and play all the finals. That's what you signed Rodri for. This is spectacular. I am in the clouds. I am loving it. But let me know what you guys make of this signing. Let me know what you guys think of Rodri coming potentially to the Camp Nou, and y'all's thoughts on all things Rodri to Barcelona. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and drop me a like as well.